It's been a while since I found such a unique story. In this nation, women hold supremacy. They preside over the imperial court or serve as high-ranking officials with fixed salaries, while men are merely possessions dependent on women. Women can have 3 husbands and 4 concubines, but men can only remain loyal to one woman. Without further delay, I will get into the story. At night in the capital, everyone knows the brightest place is always the red light district. It is midnight, yet the sounds of bustling activity are everywhere. That is why there are mixed opinions. Men, you see, must learn to be obedient and listen. Someone holding a beauty couldn't help but sigh and say that is wrong. Being too obedient is something this general is sick of. Changing the flavor occasionally, eating only one type is too monotonous, isn't it? Inside the capital's premier brothel, laughter rings out for the general's birthday banquet. This official toasts the general a cup. The general is quite right. Outside, the scene is so quiet that even a falling leaf makes me shy. Suddenly, a great commotion appears on the water's surface. Sure enough, bad people always run rampant at midnight. That stranger's hands are tied, yet he runs too fast on just 2 legs. Chasing him is a person with a slender figure and long, jet black hair. She throws a coin hard toward the stranger. No matter how carefully he dodged, he was still knocked to the ground by the young woman's coin. That person, with a frugal lifestyle, picked up the coin while clicking her tongue in lament. I bought you at a high price as a birthday gift. So why are you running? That skilled martial artist is Yin Lang, the commander of the Eastern Depot, also known as the leader of the eunuchs. She frowned slightly and continued, truly lacking in situational awareness. Follow the general, and you'll enjoy endless glory and wealth. If I were you, I wouldn't be so stupid. The other man, filled with disgust, coldly replied, and you are considered a man? I despise you castrated officials. Facing the insult, Yin Lang just sneered and remarked, people say a woman at 40 is like a tiger. I only hope that after you go with the general, your speech can remain this tough. He was then roughly pushed into the VIP room of the brothel, truly unwilling to be forced to kneel. To make matters worse, as a grown man, he had his chin lifted and was admired. This general was just saying I want to change my taste. Yin Lang, with a smile that wasn't quite a smile, said, look here, Commander Yin has brought the person. The person sitting above said with great delight, this birthday gift, this general likes it very much. The commander smiled slightly and replied, as long as the general likes it. I cannot join the birthday banquet. There are matters in the palace that require this commander to handle. The general laughed and remarked, then I cannot keep Commander Yin. Yin Lang looked around once and silently mused. As you have seen, the Qi Empire places women above all. Women either sit guarding the court or serve as high-ranking officials, while men are merely possessions dependent on women. Women can have 3 husbands and 6 concubines, but men can only be loyal to one woman. Meanwhile, in the palace, a eunuch reported with a cautious voice, Your Majesty, it is time to flip the tablets. The person inside, still holding a goose in their arms, stroked it while lazily saying, we feel a bit tired. Today we will not choose an imperial husband to serve in the bedchamber. This person is Bu Shunji, the genuine domineering female emperor of the Qi Empire. Before the eunuch left, she did not forget to order, everyone withdraw. Without our permission, no one is allowed to enter. Anyone who violates this will have their 9 generations exterminated. The order had barely been issued when Yin Lang arrived from outside. A palace maid carefully reported to her, Commander, His Majesty has ordered that no one is allowed inside. She simply said softly, I will report from the door. Very quickly, the surrounding maids were buzzing with gossip. Rumor has it the female emperor is very strange. Raising a flock of geese is one thing. But every day at this hour, the doors are locked tight. It is truly mysterious. But the commander looks really beautiful on the outside. Yin Lang ignored it all and reported earnestly, Your Majesty, the consort selection has one final round remaining. There are 10 official consort positions left. We invite Your Majesty to decide. Bu Shunji inside coldly transmitted the order. That matter is entrusted to you to decide fully. Hearing this, Yin Lang beamed with pride, stroking her hair and exclaiming, as expected, since this commander has been entrusted to decide, I will consider it very carefully. Yen Lang quickly ran to the selection venue to receive the list. The manager presented her with a collection of portraits and explained, "Commander, the names submitted by the Imperial husband candidates are all drawn here." She looked silently at the sketches, which were so distorted they looked like twisted wire. Yet that foolish manager still enthusiastically asked, "Does the commander need this servant to explain?" Yen Lang glanced at the handsome men around, closed the list, and said against her conscience, "No need. With such artistic talent in drawing, this commander can understand quite a bit." Having said that, she loudly announced, "For this final selection, the most important thing is talent. So when I read a name, step forward and perform your talent. Understood?" Li Chunyue, Su Jiang. After reading for a while, she reached a great beauty named Yu Jingxian. Yen Lang tried to keep a cold face, looked at him, and asked, "What do you want to perform?" The people around couldn't help whispering. Looking from the side, the commander is truly devastatingly beautiful. A second later, Jingxian, looking just like a divine brother, spoke softly, reporting to the commander, "I play the Shao." Hearing that, Yen Lang let out a sinister laugh and said, "Oh, so your oral technique is good." Indeed, this one sentence made everyone burst into laughter. To make the atmosphere more serious, she closed her eyes and ordered him to play a piece. After Yu Jingxian finished, the commander carefully asked, "Is this group finished?" The guard managing the exam whispered, "Master Yu plays the Shao, Master Su plays the flute, Master Li plays the sun." Reporting to the commander, "That is all." Hearing this, she remarked, "The oral skills of this group are not bad." Next group. Unexpectedly, all of Yen Lang's movements were being watched by someone else. Ending the selection session, she clearly announced, "Those whose names were called follow this commander. The rest may go home and rest." After finishing a productive day of work, she was relaxing on her way back to her room, but somehow her keen ears detected an unusual movement, causing her to stop and observe. Yen Lang actually saw a black shadow flash past her eyes. She started and shouted, "Not good! There is an assassin! You all wait here. Do not enter without my notification." She looked up toward the figure in black and realized the target was the female emperor's sleeping quarters. Because of this, the commander ran as fast as she could to get there. Seeing Yen Lang wanting to barge in, the maid guarding the door resolutely blocked her. "Her Majesty has ordered, no one is to enter and disturb." She hurriedly pushed the door open and said, "The situation is urgent. I will plead guilty to Her Majesty." "You, step aside." The maid insisted on stopping her. "You cannot, Commander. The Emperor has decreed that anyone who enters will have their 9 generations executed." She paid no more attention, urgently saying, "This does not concern you. If there is punishment, I will bear it for you." As soon as Yen Lang entered, she heard the sound of rushing water. She looked around warily and whispered, "Your Majesty, are you there?" Just as she wanted to draw her sword to act, she heard a strange man's voice speak up. "Aren't you the female emperor of the Qi Empire?" Yen Lang seized the moment and flashed quickly in the opposite direction. She anxiously lifted the curtain, then stared wide-eyed at the scene before her. Since ancient times, a rumor had circulated in the palace that the female emperor was very strange. Whenever the time came, she would lock the palace doors to bathe and change clothes, never allowing anyone to serve her. That assassin was even more terrified than Yen Lang. He muttered, "You are not," while instinctively backing away, wanting to flee. "But hold on, little one." Before he could say another word, he took a sword strike and stopped breathing on the spot. Eastern Depot Commander Yen Lang was also frightened by this scene. Her knees went soft and she collapsed to the ground. She stole a glance at the person in front of her and silently exclaimed in her heart, "Just one moment here, and all previous suspicions had a logical explanation." Because the one sitting on the supreme throne was actually what women despised and looked down upon the most. Yen Lang was startled to realize the female emperor was actually a man. However, to preserve her life, she immediately averted her gaze and spoke sternly. "This subject was late in rescuing you. I beg your Majesty to hand down punishment. Only the dead can keep a secret. Your Majesty, this subject will remain loyal to you forever." That man stepped closer to Yen Lang, then smiled faintly and said, "Do you think we will let you go? You are not wrong. Only the dead can keep a secret. We do not trust you. We only trust the dead. Having said that, he pressed the sword hard against her fair neck. His cold voice echoed in her ears. Commander Yin, we will personally send you on your way. On the dark road to the Yellow Springs, do not resent us. Yin Lang's diary today, handwritten by the commander on a day in early April. I accidentally discovered a secret that terrified me. Just as the man before her was about to successfully take her head, Yin Lang shouted loudly, "This subject can lure out the mastermind behind the assassin for your majesty. Not only that, this secret will rot inside my stomach. I am willing to be your majesty's instrument, to strike wherever directed. Please, your majesty, give this subject a chance." However, the glint of the sword blade still flashed. Only when the commander looked up again did she dare to sigh in relief that the blade had stopped. Bu Shinji laughed coldly, then threw the sword aside and said with interest, a bit meaningful, "So, according to the commander, how can we trust that you will not talk nonsense?" He leisurely rubbed a leaf between his fingers. Yin Lang broke out in a cold sweat. She didn't even dare to look at the man as she declared, "This subject wants to live, trading everything just to talk nonsense. This subject cannot afford the price." Shinji walked up to her, gently stroked her chin with his hand, and said, "Although you say that, we still must place a binding card on the commander." Saying that, he threw a pill into her mouth. Seeing her coughing violently, Shinji said appreciatively, "Commander need not be terrified. At most, it is just a poison pill." Yin Lang sat panting on the ground in fear, while the man continued to speak endlessly. "This poison will not take your life immediately. You only need to take an antidote pill on time every month. If you are obedient, there is no need to worry. All right, go do what you should do. Let us see the commander's capability." Yin Lang dashed away like lightning from the range where Bushunji could attack. She thought to herself, while the poison hasn't digested, let's resolve this matter. The commander conveniently took the assassin from earlier with her. She placed him on the roof, rummaging through his things while exclaiming, "Brother Corpse, I'm borrowing your things for a bit." Then Yin Lang quickly removed a roof tile. Below was a scene so quiet it was suffocating. A woman was leisurely wanting to enjoy tea when suddenly a hidden weapon flashed past her line of sight, slicing the teacup in two in a split second. This woman is Bu Jinxue, the Emperor Emeritus of the Qi Empire. She immediately screamed in agitation, "Assassin! There is an assassin. Where are the shadow guards? Where's the Imperial Guard? You trash! You dare let an assassin come to assassinate me." It was truly ridiculous. Seconds later, people swarmed in, shouting, "Quick! Protect Her Majesty!" Her guards trembled as they admitted guilt. "We were late in rescuing you." Did the Emperor Emeritus see the assassin's appearance? Bu Jinxue scolded angrily, relying on his skill. "If I had seen that person's figure, I fear I would have passed away by this moment." Yin Lang had been carefully observing everything from above since earlier. Suddenly the maid beside the Emperor Emeritus secretly whispered to her, "I saw it again, and I flashed from the roof. Could it be?" Immediately, both looked up to probe above. The commander was very sharp, instantly dodging successfully. She secretly sighed in relief and thought, now this commander should make an appearance. Because of that, Yin Lang intentionally left a rustling sound on the roof. Very quickly, the Emperor Emeritus's stupid guards detected it and shouted, "There's noise on the roof. Quick, catch him." In that chaotic situation, she simply jumped down from the roof, causing a group of people to stare blankly and whisper, "Commander? Commander?" Yin Lang threw the assassin from Bu Shunji's place over and coldly said, "No need to panic. This commander has brought down this assassin." The Emperor Emeritus surprisingly didn't suspect anything and praised, "The commander is majestic, must be rewarded." Yin Lang continued acting, saying, "While I was tracking the assassin's traces, I saw him carelessly drop something into the servants' quarters. I wanted to search for it. Maybe that object and the mastermind are related." She wanted to wait for the rabbit by the tree, stirring things up so the puppet master couldn't sit still. Meanwhile, at the Eastern Depot commander's quarters, Bushinji surprisingly had free time to drop by. He walked a circle observing the surroundings. Finally, his eyes bumped into the undergarment on Yin Lang's bed, and he secretly cursed, "Huh, isn't that?" before finishing the curse. Footsteps came from outside. Shinji frowned, thinking back so soon. Yin Lang stomped into the room angrily as soon as she returned. Meanwhile, the Emperor was watching her from the shadows. The commander thought, estimating the time, the poison shouldn't have been fully digested yet. Just need to use the right method. Surely I can vomit it out. So she started with the first method called soapy water. Yin Lang stared at the basin of soapy water in her hand. The next second, she closed her eyes tight and swallowed it into her stomach. But in the end, Yin Lang only felt terrible. The pill still wasn't vomited out. Next was the second method, the throat-poking technique. The commander boldly used chopsticks to poke inside her throat. The result was only a sore throat. The medicine still sat inside, making Yin Lang angry. Still no effect. Looks like I have to use the ultimate move. The final ultimate move, called somersault tumbling. The commander, after a 360-degree flip, ended the move with a handstand. But the poison was nowhere to be seen. Instead, she saw the leisurely figure of Bu Shunji in her room. Immediately, the commander was scared into falling to the ground. Shunji amusedly said, "Is the commander practicing acrobatics?" She cried without tears, "Your Majesty, why are you at my place in the middle of the night?" Suddenly, a movement outside made Yin Lang alert. She quickly sprang up, pouncing onto the Emperor, signaling him to keep quiet. The sly commander said, "Your Majesty, looks like the fish I wanted to catch is biting." Bu Shinji wanted to say something, but was interrupted. Yin Lang whispered, throwing her undergarment to him, "Put on some clothes properly first. Follow me to watch the show." Indeed, the footsteps got closer to them. The steps were very rhythmic, even more rhythmic than a mouse secretly gnawing on a watermelon. That guy leisurely hugged a potted plant and walked into Yin Lang's room. Since the turtle entered the jar, she immediately rushed to catch him while saying, "Since you're here, won't you stay for a cup of tea?" Strangely, that stupid-looking intruder managed to dodge her attack. Yin Lang swung her fist again, saying, "The guest must follow the host's will. Even if you don't want this small cup of tea today, you must drink it." Her punch strangely caused the intruder's body to crack. With a fragile heart, thinking she accidentally beat the person into pieces, Yin Lang cried boo-hoo. Bu Shunji couldn't watch anymore, drew his sword, rushed in, and shouted, "Move aside." She took the chance to switch shifts and cheered, "Your Majesty, do your best." A sword stroke from the Emperor was strong enough to create wind that extinguished the candles, making the space pitch black. Just like that, they went bam bam, pow pow in the dark. In the end, the person beaten by Shunji until their head had a bump was Yin Lang. She cried, tears streaming down, "Stop fighting. Your Majesty, I have a question. I don't know if I should ask, but are your eyes not very good?" Then both froze looking at the intruder. He surprisingly pushed over all the furniture in the commander's room. She ground her teeth in anger. Arrogant, too arrogant. Then the revenge duo Lang and Ji immediately ran after that guy. Yin Lang shouted, "Stop! Stop right there for me." But somehow Bu Shunji suddenly missed a step on the stairs, causing his tall body to fall backward. Seeing that, the commander immediately caught the other's waist and successfully hugged him back to balance. The sound of a heart-beating thump-thump was strong, but unknown whose it was. Only after a while did a deep male voice speak up. "Why haven't you let go yet?" Yin Lang hurriedly released his waist and asked with concern, "Your Majesty, are you all right?" Bu Shinji coughed a few times and said, "What? You really want something to happen to we?" The cautious commander whispered, "I wouldn't dare." While both were having a battle of wits, another noise attracted their attention. Strangely, that stupid intruder could walk but also trip over himself. Yin Lang ground her teeth, daring to break my herbal plant. "Today I'll let you walk in, but crawl out." Her lioness appearance was so unsightly that Bu Shunji beside her had to clear his throat to remind her. Immediately, the commander indeed turned red-eyed, recalling the intimate scene just now. She broke into a cold sweat, bowed 90 degrees, and exclaimed, "Otherwise, I can give you my sleeve to hold. I was also doing it out of concern for your Majesty." Before she could say more, Bu Shunji arrogantly interrupted, "We don't need it." Just like that, both ran with curiosity to the intruder. Finally, Yin Lang was speechless and exclaimed, "Huh? This is my subordinate, De Jong? Oh my, turns out it's a misunderstanding." She squatted down to check her subordinate and said, "This subordinate of mine has always had sleepwalking sickness. I cured him before, don't know why it relapsed today. But neither expected that all their movements were being monitored. Suddenly, that stupid burnt orange-haired guy, upon seeing the unknown onlookers, Brother A and Brother Mouse, screamed out loud himself. The commander noticed the noise and became alert. Bushinji also quickly saw a bit of the other's face and thought, indeed it is her. I let it go the other night to end things quickly and avoid implicating my roots. Yin Lang regained composure, stood up, and shouted, daring to appear here again. That's interesting. Your Majesty, let me go catch him. But the Emperor stopped her and lazily said, forget it. Just a passing palace maid. Don't make a big deal. While the commander was bewildered, he added, no need to investigate this matter. Bushinji looked disgustedly at the snoring man and said, also, manage your people well. After sending that ancestor away, she started dragging the subordinate back. Yin Lang sighed in relief and started writing her diary for today, relying on sleepwalking to punch this commander once. This commander planned to beat him until he crawled out. Furthermore, deduct April's salary to teach him a lesson. The following day for the commander were as busy as before. Today, Yin Lang diligently instructed the servants. The new emperor is ascending the throne. Nothing can be sloppy. Tell those below to lift their spirits for this commander. Only when assured did she get on the carriage to leave. Thought it was a beautiful day until two carriages ended up side by side on the street. Just napped a bit when she was woken by noise. Move aside. Why won't you yield the road? Do you know who is in the carriage? Yin Lang lifted the curtain to observe and saw her young servant huff coldly. Then do you know who sits in my carriage? He is the tall, brave, handsome, generous person no one in the capital doesn't know. Romantic and open-minded, loved by people, flowers bloom when met, carriages carry when met. The number one masculine charmer from ancient times to now. But the next second she softly ordered, forget it, let them go first. Finally, Yin Lang arrived. The servant saw her and happily waved, Commander, Commander, who knew on a narrow path she would meet the old woman who fought for the road earlier. Yin Lang coldly asked, this person is... She smiled, eyes squinting at her, and exclaimed, look at that! The commander is truly a noble who forgets things. This old servant came to teach skills to the new emperor. Indeed, upon hearing that, the commander pondered, skills? Remembered, this commander remembers now. The Qi Empire prioritizes women. When young nobles of the realm come of age, their mothers arrange for a teaching mama to teach them how to maintain the dominant position during intimacy, to enjoy supreme pleasure. Thus, the royal family is the same. Just entering, they saw Shunji diligently practicing swordsmanship. The mama followed closely beside her and whispered, within half a month of the new emperor's ascension, practical study and practice must be arranged. Only a high score counts as passing. Yin Lang nodded slightly and said, Mama, please wait. Let me report to His Majesty first. She strode towards Shunji, voice clear, Your Majesty, I... Halfway through the sentence, that man swung his sword rushing towards her, but the sword tip stopped just near Yin Lang's neck. The emperor gently retracted the sword and said, just joking a bit. He was indeed a demon. So many tricks, suddenly pulling off his hair ribbon and holding it in his lips. Just like that. Approaching her, he asked charmingly, is the commander very scared? Noticing Yin Lang shrinking back, he laughed lightly and said, speak, what news do you have for we? She reported while walking, Your Majesty, the common folk have a custom, which is, words not finished. She somehow walked and bumped into Bushinji's solid back. He coldly ordered, just speak straight, no need to beat around the bush with we. Yin Lang obeyed and continued. The ancient said, live to old age, learn to old age. This learning can help one perfect oneself more. Your Majesty, please. Originally wanted to enter the room to drink tea and discuss matters, but strangely, inside the room, an erotic painting was openly hung, causing both to freeze. The mama was very excited, pointing at the painting and continuing. Next, this old servant will teach Your Majesty how to master this subject, a skill women must have. Just hearing the opening, Shunji glared and lowered his voice. Is this what you said we must learn? Yin Lang was terrified and shouted, reporting to Your Majesty, this is a hurdle that emperors of all dynasties must pass. Even if Your Majesty is very pure, you still must learn. He ground his teeth, saying softly, "Good, very good, you've got guts." The commander just sweated cold sweat continuously. With no other way, the emperor had to sit down and listen to the mama's lecture. She said, "Your Majesty, let this old servant get straight to the main point. Men are divided into 3 types: the compliant type, the independent type, and the resistant type. Please, Your Majesty, look closely at this painting. Now, can Your Majesty tell this old servant which type the man in the painting belongs to?" Bu Shunji, extremely patient, said briefly, "Resistant." Yin Lang felt guilty upon hearing that, but the mama continued passionately, "Correct. To target this type of man, first, you must break his dignity, let him know who is the sky." Receiving the emperor's glare, the commander immediately shouted, "Your Majesty, Your Majesty, quell your anger." She shed 2 streams of tears, silently praying, "Can someone put me in a backpack and take me out of here?" Mama continued pointing at another painting. Just as she wanted to say more, Bushunji stood up straight and said coldly, "No need to continue. Commander, escort Mama out of here." Hearing this, she angrily scolded, "If Your Majesty does not wish to learn, you must give this old servant a reason." Even the Emperor Emeritus back then had to agree wholeheartedly with what this old servant taught. The Emperor smiled, then coldly said, "We have already mastered all these principles and techniques. There is no need to learn further. Does this reason satisfy you?" Hearing this, her face flipped in a second, smiling brightly. "Since that is the case, this old servant would like to test Your Majesty's learning results." In the end, Yin Lang, lying still got hit by a stray bullet. Mama pointed at her and said, "Then, I request Commander Yin to pretend to be the imperial husband to facilitate Your Majesty's practice of what has been learned." Immediately, both of them froze and yelled, "What?" Yan Lang pleaded softly, Your Majesty." However, Shinji curved his phoenix eyes, thought for a moment, then chuckled. He actively approached her and exclaimed, "It's not entirely impossible." Just like that, the commander was forced backward by the other. She nervously said, "Your subject fears I cannot handle this heavy responsibility. Please reconsider, Your Majesty." Shinji didn't say a word and pushed her down onto the bed. Her clothes began to become disheveled. Yin Lang, scared into a cold sweat, whispered her, Your Majesty, please reconsider. Or perhaps let your subject go find a eunuch with better technique." Yin Lang was terrified right now, fearing she might discover he was a man, while Bushunji bluntly pinned her to the bed, amused and wanting to tease. This scene made Mama excitedly say, "If encountering an imperial husband with such a fierce temperament, what will Your Majesty do?" She was still scared and wanted to swing a fist to hit him. However, her wrist was immediately caught by Bushunji. He whispered with teasing intent, "Commander is not being good." Pinned beneath his body, she stammered, Your subject is just a eunuch. I cannot dirty Your Majesty's hands." The Emperor leaned close to her ear and whispered, "If you cooperate, we might end this a bit sooner. If you resist any further and ruin our good mood, we won't be polite anymore." Just like that, the time of 1 stick of incense passed. Mama watched and took notes attentively. "Time is up," she happily said. "Your Majesty and the commander combined very well." The Emperor sat up, looked with amusement at Yin Lang's flushed face, and said wickedly, "Then it wouldn't be excessive for us to get an excellent score, right? Don't you agree, Commander Yin?" That Mama, not understanding the situation, held out the grading notebook and smiled like a flower, saying, "Of course, it's all excellent scores. Then this old servant can return to report to the Emperor Emeritus." This old servant asks to take leave. Because she was so afraid of the ancestor in front of her, Yin Lang trembled and said extremely quietly, "That, Your Majesty. So now your subject." Bushinji glared at her. Then his gaze indecently looked down below, scaring the commander. However, in the end, the other party just coldly said one word, "Scram." Yin Lang immediately put her hat back on and yelled, Your subject is scrambling right now, on a day with a clear moon and cool breeze at Changle Palace. This funny story was brought out by guards, maids, and even eunuchs to role-play every day. Your subject is scrambling right now. It is said that when the commander ran away, she only had 1 shoe left. Truly a big joke. The person inside Changle Palace heard the people outside laughing and said with interest, "Interesting, truly interesting." She was the 2nd imperial princess, Bu Xiying. She had just taken a few steps out the door when she was stopped by a maid. "Where does Your Highness wish to go?" The second imperial princess signaled and said, "This princess wants to go find some fun and conveniently investigate a bit." Seeing's eyes glanced slightly at the painting she always hung in her room. Feeling a bit unhappy in her heart, she thought, is the new emperor really my biological older sister or not? This princess does not want to accept a thief as kin. At the same time, Commander Yanlang, aka the main character of the whole palace's joke, was relaxing herself in a bathtub. After finishing bathing, she used cloth strips to bind her chest tightly until she was breathless, silently cursing. If a woman isn't resolute, her status will be unstable. After preparing everything properly, she satisfiedly said, "Great success." Yanlang gently opened the door, ready to face everything. Before she could even breathe the air, someone came to the door to bother the commander. Commander, it's bad." She calmly asked what happened. The servant immediately pointed at the chaotic crowd over there and said, "Commander, hurry and think of a way. That flock of geese has chased the imperial husbands around the imperial palace 2 laps already. Even the imperial guards dare not take action. That is the flock of geese raised personally by your majesty. What should be done?" In the end, everything falls into Commander Yan's hands. She single-handedly gave the order, caught them. "Don't let go. Good, retract the net." The geese were not to be outdone, flapping their wings hard and honking loudly. She raised the net high and hurriedly said, "Dejong, come forward and help this commander smack the ducks." After wrapping up the geese, she whispered, "If everyone is safe and sound, then this commander is going to handle other important matters. Dejong, let's go." Suddenly, her eyes quickly caught a glimpse of a figure. Yanlang thought to herself, "What is she doing here?" Bu Xiying observed from afar and smiled slightly, saying, "A flock of geese appears to chase the imperial husbands just when cards need to be flipped, saying there's no ghost involved. Only a ghost would believe it." Yu Jingxian and the others also began to gossip. The commander's appearance catching the geese just now was truly handsome and mighty, worthy of being the most popular man in our imperial palace. What a pity, being a eunuch at such a young age. The second imperial princess suddenly approached them, whispering, "Imperial husband Yu, Imperial husband Lin, please stop. This princess has an important matter to discuss." Meanwhile, at Lu Yuan Mansion, the foolish Dejong somehow let the geese escape. He chased after them yelling, "Come back here, come back here." Seeing Yanlang open the door to enter, the boy screamed, "Commander, move out of the way." Sure enough, she just looked up, and before she could do anything, she was hit by a goose and even kicked down to the ground. Dejong ran over with the net and yelled, "Commander, move out of the way quickly." She maintained her calm expression and said, "You go back first. Today's matter must be reported to your majesty." However, in her heart, she had already thought of 7,749 dishes made from geese. Yanlang, just like that, crossed through the familiar corridors, finally stopping in front of Yoming Palace. From outside the door, she heard the voice inside. "This love incense was prepared by the Southern Border secret clan that I spent a large sum of silver to invite for you, sister." The commander thought vigilantly. Southern Border? What is love incense? Isn't it something used to boost libido? Inside the room, the second imperial princess, Bu Xiying, pushed the items over and said, "If sister finds it good to use, I will go ask for 6, 7, 8 more boxes. It will definitely make sister overflowing with comfort, face fresh as a flower." Then she intentionally lifted Bu Shunji's sleeve. Then Bu Xiying froze, thinking to herself, "This scar is from when I was young and carelessly burned sister by accident. Unexpectedly, is she really my sister?" The emperor smiled slightly and said, "We will use it when there is a chance, so as not to waste little sister's good intentions." The second imperial princess suddenly stood up and declared, "Then picking a day is not as good as hitting the day. Why not choose an imperial husband to grace with your favor right today?" Hearing this, Bu Shinji laughed, then whispered, "All right, we also really want to know if this incense works well or not." The reason he said that was because an hour before the second imperial princess arrived, the emperor had lowered his voice and ordered, "Always refusing to grace the imperial husbands. It's inevitable. There are many rumors in the palace. Go, arrange for someone to bring that flock of geese near them. Then bring the green head plaques here." Bu Shinji thought cunningly, "When we flip the card, if the imperial husband is panicked or covered in dirt and cannot serve, they can't blame us." That was why his eunuch followed the script and brought the plaques up. But just as Bu Shinji reached out his hand to act, Bu Xing stood up abruptly and said, "No need to flip cards. I don't want Imperial's sister to wait another moment. Bring him in." Her people immediately carried a person in, seeing presented seriously. On the way here, I met the imperial husbands being chased by geese. Fortunately, I arranged for him to wash up early. Otherwise, the great matter would have been ruined. Imperial sister, who do you want to choose? Because the plan fell apart, Bu Shunji whispered furiously. Bu seeing, you are a bit. Before the words were spoken, Yin Lang ran in hurriedly from outside and shouted, Your Majesty, your subject is here to help you change this incense. To help boost your Majesty's mood better. Saying that, she lightly brushed past him and whispered, Your Majesty, just choose an imperial concubine at will. Leave the rest to your subject to resolve. Hearing these words, Bu Shunji smiled, then looked towards Yu Jingxian and said briefly, Then choose him. After the emperor confirmed the room door was closed carefully, he lowered his voice and asked, What does the commander intend to do? Yin Lang received the order and said smugly, Then your Majesty remember to open your eyes wide and watch carefully. Having said that, she used a dagger to press against Yu Jingshuan's neck, fiercely ordering, Scream. Imperial husband Yu cried aggrievedly and asked, Scream what? Your Majesty, look, Lord Commander is. Yin Lang leaned her face close and said coldly, Scream however one screams during intercourse. Don't you know? Do you want this commander to teach you? Under her oppression, Jingxian let out a few cries. Hearing this, Bu Shunji was speechless and exclaimed, You are momentarily making us unable to think of how to praise you. While the imperial husband Yu tried his best to act coquettish, Yin Lang said completely immune, as long as your Majesty is satisfied. And you continue. The next morning, the sky was blue, the earth was peaceful. Bu Shunji leisurely looked in a mirror while carefully using a piece of black charcoal to draw his eyebrows. After so much effort concentrating, his hand still slipped, drawing a zigzag line that was hard to describe. The emperor angrily cursed silently, failed again. This eyebrow charcoal is truly damn hard to use. Suddenly, Yin Lang, just like a thief, sneaked into the emperor's bedchamber. As soon as she arrived, she saw Bu Shunji trying to wipe something off. Yin Lang called out softly, Your Majesty. He suddenly glared at her and scolded coldly. Why aren't you hurrying up? Told you to go outside the palace to buy eyebrow snail ink, yet you are so slow. Useless thing. Being scolded like that, the commander still enthusiastically hugged the items and ran towards him. She said, Here, your Majesty. This is eyebrow snail ink. The one next to it is copper charcoal. This is some lipstick the shopkeeper gave me because I bought so much. Just as she saw Bu Shunji reaching out to take the items, Yin Lang unconsciously held them tight. She hesitated and said, Eyebrow snail ink isn't used like that. If your Majesty doesn't mind, your subject is willing to share the burden for your Majesty. Bu Shunji rarely had the mood to joke. He said softly, Fine. If you draw beautifully, we will grant a reward. If you draw poorly, we will also grant a reward. The money-grubbing demon Yin Lang froze upon hearing the word reward in both cases. Then her eyes shone brightly like a genius. Yin Lang excitedly wagged her tail and said, Really? 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 Even if I draw poorly, I get a reward. Bu Shunji said very sarcastically, Of course. Reward you with 20 strokes of the paddle. Thunder and rain are all heavenly grace. How about it? Doesn't this count as a reward? Sure enough, Yin Lang froze in place as soon as she heard that. However, in the end, it was still the image of Yin Lang looking attentive while grumbling. Your Majesty speaks very correctly, extremely correctly. The time is no longer early. Let your subject paint your lips for you as well, so you don't miss the morning court. She spoke with great excitement. Your Majesty, just trust me, I won't let you down. Your Majesty, open your mouth. The red lipstick was applied by Commander Yin Lang onto Bu Shunji's lips, looking extremely beautiful. Finishing the makeup for today, she solicitously pointed to the mirror and said, Look, Your Majesty. Indeed, the pure appearance created by Yin Lang's own hand surprised the emperor greatly. She revealed her anticipation. Is Your Majesty satisfied? Meanwhile, Bu Shunji frowned, thinking, Women's eyebrow charcoal is very hard to use. One wrong stroke ruins the shape. He is a painting official. How does he know these things? Having thought that, He recalled the bodice on Yin Lang's bed that day. Suddenly, he laughed and exclaimed, "Truly, we underestimated the commander before, didn't we? Is this technique of the commander used to please someone?" She didn't know why he was angry, but quickly apologized first. "It's just that the person your subject wants to please is always your majesty." Bu Shunji stood up and whispered, "The commander is truly loyal." Then she walked out of the emperor's place. Just outside, she heard maids gossiping. "This time Lord Yu really has a bright future. He will enjoy endless wealth and glory later." "Really? Why did I hear Lord Yu suffered a grievance reaching the heavens?" Hearing this, she thought, grievance reaching the heavens? Last night, I just told him to moan a few times and act a bit. What grievance could there be? Meanwhile, at Jutian Palace, the Lord Yu, who was supposedly favored yet aggrieved, was obediently taking whiplashes while calculating. "Outsiders only know I stayed in His Majesty's chambers last night. If they knew I stayed but wasn't graced, wouldn't I become the laughingstock of the palace?" Thus, he ordered his subordinate, "Hurry up and hit me. Hit me again." He gritted his teeth in grievance. "No, I cannot become their laughingstock. Without hickeys, I'll use whip marks instead. Even if it's fake, I must make it real. Later, those other lords and attendants can only be jealous." Moments later, Yin Lang appeared in the courtyard and heard someone laughing. Aggrieved? Where's the grievance? Yu Jingxian slid his robe down to reveal a back covered in whip marks and sobbed. "How can I not be aggrieved? Last night, I truly felt a lot of pain." A group of men saw this and exclaimed in fascination, "So many whip marks. I would willingly suffer this grievance for Lord Yu too. Who knew your majesty had this hobby?" "As expected of your majesty." Yin Lang heard this and chuckled, thinking, this Lord Yu, scheming to use whip marks to fake signs of grace, is truly interesting. Suddenly, Yu Jingxian froze and whispered, "Commander." Yin Lang swaggered in and smiled. "Today I am here by His Majesty's order to present a gift to Lord Yu. The gift is delivered. I won't disturb you masters anymore." She thought, if so, the palace will be quiet for a while. No one will spread rumors that the Empress doesn't need male beauty anymore. At the same time, Bu Shunji was playing chess with the Emperor Emeritus. His mother curiously asked him, "I heard last night my imperial child graced a lord named Yu. How was it?" He didn't care much and said, "You made a wrong move. Your son wins." But the Emperor Emeritus excitedly urged, tell me, how was it last night?" Bu Shunji suddenly snapped. "Mother, why is your son so miserable? Isn't it because you deceived me back then? You said as long as I wore women's clothes and sat on the throne, you'd handle the rest. Now look, early in the morning you claim you can't wake up and throw that promise away. I have no choice but to learn how to apply powder, draw eyebrows, and style hair like a woman. Truly living a life more like a woman than a woman. If I bring back a husband for you later, don't be shocked." Bu Jianxue, feeling guilty, said seriously, "Nonsense. My body isn't well, and you're my only child. This is a responsibility you cannot avoid." Just then, a maid entered to report, "Commander Yin requests an audience." After Bu Shunji granted permission, Yin Lang swaggered in. But upon arrival, she knelt down. "Your subject, Yin Lang, comes to plead guilty." She continued seriously, "After last night, there are rumors that Lord Yu was aggrieved." Hearing this, Bu Shunji stood up and said coldly, "So you took it upon yourself, like a fox exploiting the tiger's might, to present gifts in my name?" Surprised that he guessed her plan, she said cautiously, "Your subject is guilty." The emperor helped her up and said, "On the surface, it's a gift, but actually it's a probe. The commander handles necessary matters for we without being asked. How can we not be grateful?" Then he whispered in her ear, "We want to reward you." Hearing the word reward, Yin Lang wagged her invisible foxtail and whispered, "A real reward? Then I ask your majesty for the antidote." She feigned helplessness. "Your subject is cowardly and afraid of death. Lately my heart beats fast and irregularly. Heart disease needs heart medicine, so I ask for the antidote as a reward to help stabilize my heart." Back in the sleeping quarters, Bu Shunji chuckled. "Cowardly and afraid of death? We don't see it that way." He idly rolled some pills. Then, washing his hands, he instructed the maid, "Clean up those mud balls. We don't want to dirty our hands molding mud balls for him anymore." Shinji actually fed Yin Lang mud. Early the next morning, there was the sound of galloping horses. Yin Lang rode through a road full of brilliant cherry blossoms to reach the Yin Manor. Seeing her, the servants bustled. Xiao and "Quick, take the Lord's horse to the stable and tend to it carefully." She strode in and asked gently, "Old woman, is Master well lately?" The man behind whispered, "My wife Master is doing well. Thank you for your concern, my lord." Then she was led to her destination. It turned out the person Yin Lang wanted to see was the former commander of the Eastern Depot, Yin Wanjiao. Upon arrival, she saw her surrounded by beautiful men feeding her. Wanjiao ordered them all to withdraw. Yin Lang knelt seriously and whispered, "Master." Before she could speak, Yin Wanjiao sternly warned, "I know clearly what you want to ask or say. I warn you, before it's too late, let those questions rot in your heart." But Yin Lang persisted. 9th year of Mingkai. The empress at that time, now the emperor emeritus, announced to the public the birth of twin daughters. The first imperial princess was named Shinji. The second imperial princess was named Xing. 14th year of Mingkai. The first imperial princess fell seriously ill and was sent to Qingyun Temple, far from the capital, for treatment. First year of Chongwei. The first imperial princess ascended the throne, but the person I met was not a woman. Hearing this, Yin Wanjiao frowned and shouted, "Palace secrets are not for you to know. What's wrong with letting it rot in your heart? You will still be the commander with the highest power in the Eastern Depot." Yin Lang took out the pill and said fearfully, "After I learned his secret, I was poisoned. He uses this to control me. I must rely on him to survive. My life is in Bushinji's hands. If I don't have a trump card, should I just let others tear me apart? Master, I really want to know." Yin Wanjiao sighed helplessly. Those twins were not the Emperor Emeritus's biological flesh and blood. The current Bushinji is. It's a pity he is a son. He was taken away the night he was born. So when he grew up, he could only return disguised as a woman. It's all clear and logical. The first imperial princess who grew up in the palace was just a body double for the Emperor Emeritus's real child. That same night, at Yongning Palace, Bushinji dreamed of the past. When he was still living at Qingyun Temple, the Emperor Emeritus came and asked, "Little Rue, let me ask again, what is your name?" Back then, he insisted his name was Ming Shi. Every time the woman heard it, she screamed excitedly, "No, I'm asking your secular name. What is your secular name? Answer me." He said fearfully, "Master says I don't have a secular name." But Bu Jinshu hugged him tightly. "No, you do, you do. You are Shinji, Mother Shinji. You have a secular name." The young Shinji struggled and screamed, "Master, I want Master." The abbot of Qingyun Temple slowly approached. Amit Ba. He gently hugged the child and whispered, "Your Majesty, it is not time yet. He is not Shinji, he is Ming Shi." The emperor suddenly woke up. He panted in exhaustion, thinking, Shinji, the other Shinji, is she still alive? Just like that, late at night, Yin Lang sneaked into Yongning Palace, wondering, why did His Majesty summon me so urgently? The maid beside her whispered, "I don't know either, Commander. His Majesty doesn't let us near the hot bath, but specially allowed you to go in alone." Receiving the order, she boldly poked her head in to look. The maid outside waved her handkerchief. "Please, Commander, be careful." Noticing the ancestor inside was chillingly quiet, she lifted the curtain and called, "Your Majesty." Then Yin Lang widened her eyes, staring at the straight back of the man before her. Bushinji glanced at her and said in a low voice, "What are you dazing off for? Get over here." As she approached, she saw the man comfortably revealing his chest muscles, lazily saying, "Do something for we." Yin Lang hurriedly covered her eyes and chanted, "See no evil, see no evil." But Shinji continued seriously, "Since birth, we were sent to Qingyun Temple. For many years, a body double played my role. In name, she was the first imperial princess and Bu Xiying's older sister. While Commander Yin thought unseriously, "Sorry, but not looking at such captivating beauty causes anemia," Bushinji carefully told her, "We want you to investigate her whereabouts." Yin Lang said softly, "Your subject will definitely fulfill the mission, Your Majesty. You seem tired. Shall I massage you to relax your muscles?" Receiving consent, she carefully massaged him and said, "But if Your Majesty wants to investigate the first imperial princess, why not ask the Emperor Emeritus directly?" The Emperor vaguely recalled Bu Jinshue's anger whenever this was mentioned. She always scolded, "There is no other Shinji. Do not mention this again. Leave." Thinking of this, he closed his eyes helplessly. Seeing this, Yin Lang called Your Majesty a few times to probe. Seeing no reaction, she thought. Did he fall asleep? Thus, with a racing heart and indecent eyes, she looked down at the lower part of Shunji's dragon body. Then she even reached down to touch. Just as Commander Yin was smugly taking advantage, Bushunji grabbed her hand and asked coldly, "Do you have a death wish?" Caught in the act, Yanlang tensely made an excuse. "Shinji, your subject just wanted to massage you. Your Majesty misunderstood. The xiphoid process corresponds to the stomach, heart, and gallbladder. Massaging here is very beneficial. It not only helps blood circulation, but also prevents diseases." The emperor roared in anger, glib-tongued. "Get out now." Yanlang, defeated, cautiously accepted the order. "Yes, I'm going right now." Just leaving Yongning Palace, she heard a loud quarrel. "Second Highness, why make things difficult for my lord? I don't want to talk to you anymore. Take this paper and pass it to attendant Yu. He will understand naturally." The palace maid from attendant Yu's residence looked bewildered holding the letter. Then she was dazedly gagged and taken away. Yin Lang actually captured the person and forced them to silence. The maid was startled and said, Commander, what is it?" Commander Yin forcefully snatched the item from her hand, then carefully read the contents inside and left a faint smile. Afterward, she passed the item back to its original place and instructed, "Hold it carefully. Do not say you met this commander." The lowly servant trembled and said, "This servant will remember the commander's instructions." Just like that, all the way back, she remained deep in thought. At first, an assassin broke into His Majesty's hot spring bath. Next, the second imperial princess presented incense to probe, and today, sending messages continued. It seems that assassin was sent by her. The goal was not assassination, but to check for the birthmark. This Buxing clearly does not recognize Bushunji as her sister. Suddenly, someone found her and shouted loudly, Commander, something is wrong. Trouble at the household department. Eunuch Da is about to have his backbone destroyed by that crowd. Before starting with the headache-inducing internal affairs, let us rewind time to the Lantern Festival, a traditional holiday of the Qi Empire. On that day, every household lights lanterns and hangs them before their doors to pray. Merchants prepare plenty of goods on that day to collect full ledgers of money during the bustle. On the streets, children excitedly watch the lanterns. Mother, the fish flew up. I want to release another flower lantern." Amidst the hustle and bustle of the streets, little Yin Lang stood silently in one spot. She quietly listened to the shopkeepers delivering goods. "Hot steam buns here, hot steam buns. Take a look. Buying won't be a loss. You won't be cheated." Suddenly, a little Shunji appeared in the middle of the street. He stepped forward, cherishing a scented pouch, and asked, "May I ask the shopkeeper, how much is this pouch?" His appearance quickly attracted the gaze of many girls. A young lady next to Yin Lang whispered, "Little Yin Lang, look at that little brother. He's so handsome. I wonder whose son he is. His face looks very unfamiliar. Looking so pure and innocent, right? Let's make a bet. If you dare to kiss him once, I'll give you 10 won. How about it?" Little Yin Lang had loved money since childhood. Hearing this, she smugly said, "You said it. Wait and see." Then she ran towards little Shunji and shouted loudly, "Hey!" Receiving the other's gaze, she kicked to pull the boy back and quickly placed a kiss on his cheek. After kissing him, little Yin Lang ran for her life, laughing and saying, "Running first is respectful. Don't forget my 10 won. I'll come tomorrow," leaving little Shunji stunned on the spot. It turned out this was their fate. Just like that, in the blink of an eye, another year's Lantern Festival arrived. Little Yin Lang, a year older, took off her mask and happily thought to herself, selling masks this year was indeed the right choice. Sold out so quickly. This year, she coincidentally encountered the boy from years ago. Little Shunji asked softly, "Miss, are you still selling masks?" Even though she loved money, she very generously passed the mask over and said, "This is the last one. If you don't mind, then I'll give it to you." Yin Lang stared intently at that man and thought, "This person looks a little familiar." Closing the memories of the fate arranged by the heavens for Bu, Shunji, and Yin Lang, let us return together to the current chaos. Outside the Eastern Depot, people gathered and made a scene, knowing how to take money but not doing the work. "You bunch of eunuchs. You castrated slaves. roll out here. Roll out here. Yin Lang broke into a cold sweat, hugging the door tightly, listening to De Jong stammer beside her. This servant said I would return the money without missing a cent to the masters. But the masters did not agree. So how would this servant dare go out? When they gave me the money, it wasn't like this. Their little mouths were as sweet as honey. Commander, this contrast is too. Before he could finish a sentence, he ate a punch from Yin Lang. She gritted her teeth and scolded. Deserved. Did they simply want to give you money back then? At that time, they wanted you to arrange for them to crawl onto the dragon bed. De Jong cried and sniffled, saying, then why didn't they say it clearly when handing over the money? What do we do now? Then the brat smiled smugly and said, why doesn't the commander go talk to his majesty? Or perhaps you go say a word. Attendant you is fine, but the others are even more handsome and have a manly flavor. Isn't that delicious? Commander Yin collapsed helplessly and said, then I'll tell you this too, regarding your trick. Seeing De Jong wagging his tail in curiosity, she gave the brat a punch on the head and left 4 words, completely useless. Then she thought deeply and said, speaking of this majesty of ours, whenever it's time to flip a name tag, excuses are found. Last time it was a menstrual period. Now, I fear the excuse will be busy reviewing memorials and having no time. Indeed, on Bushinji's side, he followed the old routine and said, tonight we must review memorials and will not flip name tags. Go inform the palaces to rest early. No need to wait for us. The serving maid beside him nodded, then said, Your Majesty, the clothes have all been retrieved. He touched the clothes while thinking that this couldn't be dragged on any longer. That matter must be brought up quickly for discussion. Thus, the emperor said sternly, tomorrow, go call the commander to bring papers. We want to play chess with him. Early the next morning, Yin Lang brought her pair of pups running over to play chess with the emperor. She very strangely reported, Your Majesty, when your subject arrived, I saw the attendants carrying food boxes standing outside Yongning Palace. After asking around, I learned they all want to give them to your majesty. Don't blame your subject for being talkative, but truly, the attendants standing in line outside the door every day, it doesn't look very good after all. She was thinking that his majesty's mood was currently not bad. Opening her mouth now was the best opportunity. Bushinji smiled faintly, calculating, we haven't even dug the pit yet, and he jumped in himself, truly helping us save trouble. So he eagerly leaned forward and said, then tell us, what should be done now? Yin Lang's eyes lit up, sniffing the 2 words hope, and she wagged her tail to curry favor with the emperor. Could your majesty walk around the harem a bit more? If your majesty is willing to enter the harem more, the attendants outside Yongning Palace will naturally disperse. She harbored the ambition that if she could persuade Bushinji to visit the harem, those attendants would surely stop bothering De Jong. Meanwhile, the emperor said with deep meaning, if we do as you say, we fear it would be very difficult to keep everything safe. Yin Lang jumped in surprise and cried out, then what can be done? Shinji mysteriously said, however, in recent days, we have thought of a very good method. Follow us here. Commander Yin accepted the clothes in her hands and dazedly asked, what is this for? The emperor, brief and concise, said, go change your clothes. After you change, we will tell you. She was startled and tried hard to question, wait, why change clothes? Why doesn't your majesty just tell your subject directly? He gently knocked on her forehead and said in a low voice, what nonsense are you spouting? Just wear it. Don't you want this little life anymore? Yin Lang complained while changing clothes. Tisk, trying to be mysterious. Suddenly, she was attracted by the noise outside. Who do you think you are? Get lost immediately. This princess wants to be intimate with imperial sister, to bathe and chat all night long. You dare stop me? There is also attendant you. He came to deliver food, not to steal. The maid of Yongning Palace found it hard to speak. His Majesty has already rested. Your Highness, please return tomorrow. At the same time, Bushinji abruptly lifted the curtain and urged, have you finished changing? Yin Lang was suddenly ambushed, so she panicked and covered herself, saying, your subject hasn't finished dressing yet. Before she could finish speaking, she was grabbed by the hand by Bushinji and dragged away as he said, not dressed is even better. Next, just listen to me. He forcefully pulled the hairpin from her hair, making Yin Lang tremble and call out, Your Majesty. Then Bushinji pressed her firmly onto the bed. He looked like a complete rogue as he removed his own clothes and said, now it is time for us to tell you what this method is. You act as our attendant. From now on, we will only flip your name tag, only come to your palace. Yin Lang heard this and excitedly shouted, no, this isn't right. Your subject is just a eunuch. But Bu Shunji insisted on pinning her down and whispered, "We don't mind. Commander advised us to visit the harem more. Perhaps because we are truly afraid of that crowd in the harem, we cannot be intimate with men, but we can pretend to be intimate with a fake man. First, it can stop the wagging tongues of those people. Second, we will no longer need to find excuses to refuse flipping name tags. Before, you said you would jump into boiling water and burning fire for us. Let us verify if your words were true or false." Yin Lang was scared to the point of stammering. "Your subject said I would jump into boiling water and burning fire for your majesty. But this water isn't boiling, and the fire isn't burning like this." The emperor insisted on holding her down tightly and said, "We are relying entirely on you now to save us from the crowd outside. So, quickly get used to your new identity, Attendant Yin." Just as he finished speaking, Bu Xiying banged on the door, rushed in, and shouted, "Imperial sister." But what she received in return was a scene of intimacy on the bed with a coquettish voice saying, "Your Majesty." Noticing Yin Lang trembling beneath him, Bu Shunji inadvertently laughed and said, "What are you trembling for? You offering your body to us. Isn't it with the intention of becoming an attendant?" The other's wandering hand paralyzed her brainwaves. "No, any lower and the chest binding will be seen." Because of this, before things became more serious, Yin Lang grabbed his arm tightly, used strong force, and finally succeeded in suppressing the emperor beneath her. Seeing Bu Shunji wanted to resist, she sternly said, "If it is to serve your majesty, how can I trouble your majesty to do the work yourself? It's just that the second highness and attendant you have been watching outside the main hall for quite a while. It really makes one annoyed." Bu Xiying and Yu Jingxian, having been named, froze in their tracks wanting to explain. But before they could utter a word, the emperor gritted his teeth and shouted, "Why haven't you rolled out of here yet?" The second imperial princess, afraid of ghosts, ran in panic shouting, I'm going right now." She prayed in fear. "This time it's huge. Why did I crash and write when Imperial Sister was being intimate? If Mother finds out, I won't have a good ending." After chasing the people away, Yin Lang put her clothes back on properly and said, "Your subject does not have this ability and cannot undertake the duty of your majesty's attendant. What happened today had a cause. Your subject was merely fulfilling the duty of subject. Your subject advises your majesty to invite other brilliant people. Your subject asks to withdraw." Bu Shinji looked at her retreating figure and softly said, "What if the monthly salary is increased by 10 taels?" Yin Lang suddenly stopped. He thought a money-grubbing ghost like her had wavered, but she coldly said, "It is getting late. Your majesty should rest early to avoid being unable to leave the bed for court tomorrow." After she left, the emperor was somewhat amused, thinking, even more salary didn't work? Then I can change the method. Yin Lang remained dazed. Even the identity of an attendant was arranged for her. This showed he had already dug the pit and waited for her to jump in. Truly hateful. Today's episode has ended. Please don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe to the channel to support me, so I have a motivation to continue.